We are just so back. Happy New Year. I hope you've had a chance to go through the event and get what you want, because today's video is all about how we rune new monsters. Now, if you're like me and you did get something good from the event, or multiple things from the event, which was pretty exciting, you then run into the question of, okay, where do I rune this new monster? In my research for this video, I started to look at how other people rune their monsters, and often I found that there was discussion around meta for different monsters and if a monster is even worth using, but a lot of that felt geared towards higher ranked players. And if you have been with this channel for the last month or so, this is all about new monsters for lower tier players. So what I thought might be a good idea is to walk us through how we use new monsters that we've summoned. Before we get started, I just want to say thank you so much. The last month has been an awesome period of growth, and it is not possible without you. We have a Discord, we have guilds on global and EU, and really I would love nothing more if you were to join. So thank you again. Let's check it out. Okay, so I was fortunate enough to pull some good units from the holiday event. I was able to get Feng Yan, and I was able to get Okeanos. But today we're actually going to talk about two different monsters, both water. We're going to talk about Manado, and we're going to talk about Jung Nem. Now, when you pull a new monster, it's often the impulse to just slap your best runes on them and hope that they do what you want, because we all know we've been in that position where you fight a monster and it absolutely destroys your team. So then you're like, I'm going to build it, and it just does not perform the same way. So essentially what I want to do is I just want to talk about some of the steps that should go into runing a monster and figuring out what it's good at, what it's used for, and where it fits into your comp. So let's talk about role. Manado's role is a turn to sustain monster that can protect itself, and depending on what you rune it on, can actually heal itself up. Now, one way to do that is to identify the monster by taking a look at its role on the right, telling you it's an attack role, which means that it probably does a good amount of damage based off another stat. If you're curious about what that stat might be, then you want to go ahead and take out the skills. So if we start to read the skills of Manado, we can see that skill 1 attacks the enemy to stun with for one turn with 30% chance, which means that this monster has the ability to add some random CC to your comp, but it shouldn't be the main component of the monster. As for skill 2, tells you it attacks the enemy to decrease defense for 2 turns with an 80% chance, and you go under the threat state while the enemy attacks with a single target 1 skill time. Afterwards, you receive Shadow's protection. So this monster, in addition to having skill 1, 2, and a passive, also has this additional skill that nullifies an enemy attack when you're hit. So again, when I'm reading this, I know that the monster is capable of doing damage, but it also has the ability to protect itself for 1 turn. So we may not need to worry about it dying right away, but obviously we need to proc those skills first. And then we read the passive, and we see that it gains immunity to inability effects while under the Shadow's protection, and counterattacks with Shadow of Right Arm if you get attacked by enemies without Shadow's protection. So we take a look at these skills and realize, okay, Manado can do some damage and can probably go turn 2, because if it gets attacked by AoE, meaning in this case the monster is anti-cleave, then it can set itself up to do damage and put itself under the threat state. So identifying the monster's role is going to be important for the runes that we want to put on a little bit later. And taking a look at skills and potential runes, right? I think, well, if it's going to counterattack, maybe it'll do well on Vampire, similar to Leica, who will counterattack and regain health, right? So that way there's another element of sustain to this monster. Also reading the roles, what content is this monster used for? It doesn't really sound like a PvE monster. It wouldn't be used in any sort of Kairos team necessarily, unless you were going to specifically build it that way. So my guess is it's going to be a PvP monster. So it could be good for things like arena defense or RTA to set yourself up with that sustain and that protection. Another good way to take a look at it is just to take a look at the monster's usage. If you go here to its stats and take a look, you can see it's used in World Guild Battle, as well as Arena, as well as Siege. So again, this is going to be a PvP heavy unit. Now, for me personally, if I'm only going to use it in PvP, something like RTA, I typically don't rune it from this page. I will go into the world arena and then I will rune it up. When I eventually start sieging with my guild and taking it a little bit more seriously, obviously I'll rune up the Manado from this screen, but today we're just going to focus on RTA. So once we jump into RTA Rune Manager, we now need to ask ourselves, what stats are most important for this monster? Well, we've already discussed that it does have the ability to sustain itself, so maybe something like defense and HP is a little less priority than it would be for attack. So in this case, in asking myself those questions, I've put Manado on attack, crit rate, and attack, because in this case, I want him to do a lot of damage while also sustaining himself with vampire runes. And the reason that I put him on will is because Manado is very easy to deal with if he gets CC'd off of rip. So to protect him from that, I've put him on will so that at least that way he has a chance to start to stop anti-cleave. So then another question comes, well, how does speed tuning affect this monster? Should it move before or after other monsters on your team? And I'll be honest, this is something that I'm still working on. So I'm trying to figure out where Manado would want to live in my comp. Now, if he's turn 2, then he'll probably want to go after somebody that defense breaks. Even though he can defense break himself with skill 2, it's probably good for him to land an attack on a monster that already has its defense broken because I'm scaling him on attack. So depending on where you fit him into your comp, you might want to put him after something like a Wind Monkey King if you're focusing turn 2. So for stat priority in this case, I'm focusing on attack and crit rate because I do want him to do some pretty solid damage. I could do more crit damage in this case, but I think I want him to crit more often if he's going to be moving every time he gets attacked. So that's why he's on crit rate in slot 4. So my Manado looks a little something like this. All in all, after discussing what its skills looks like, what role it fits, I focused on attack, crit rate, and attack, and honestly, I might even start to move him into a more crit damage heavy build because, as you can see, I've also focused on things like HP and crit damage, so that way when he does get attacked, he can sustain himself with the vampire runes, with the tankiness, and the threat state. The same goes for artifacts. In this case, I've taken damage dealt on fire as well as counterattack, because if he's going to be counterattacking every time he's in that threat state, then he's going to want more damage to that counterattack. The same is true for the counterattack in the attribute artifact as well, or the type artifact as well. So again, just to recap, I took a look at Manado, I took a look at his skills, I tried to identify where his skills may fit into the comp, and then from there I moved into runing him in a safer, sustained build. Now let's take a look at another monster like Jung Nem. The core build that I'm using for my RTA right now is Vanessa, Laura, and Escher. So I'm going for a quicker team. Jung Nem excels at things like CC because he has the ability to stun and freeze on skill 1 that scales off of his max HP. He has the ability to attack and inflict 15% of his max HP and steal 1 beneficial target. And then skill 3 recovers the HP of all allies by 20% and attacks all enemies to inflict damage that increases according to your max HP and stuns them for 1 turn. So when I take a look at these skills, I realize that he's a pretty heavy CC unit who does a good job sustaining the team and himself, as well as add some CC to the mix by pushing back attack bar and potentially stunning. So with the main comp that I mentioned, right, Escher to boost up the team, Laura to strip with her skill 3, then I probably want Jung Nem to go, so that way he can CC and push back attack bar even more. So in this case, Jung Nem has been put on Swift Will because Laura has a plus 138 and Jung Nem has a plus 132. And remember to pay attention to your base speed because that's 9 base speed factored into the difference between these two units. So in my case, I wanted Jung Nem to go after Laura and then follow up with maybe some sort of Wind Robo or Savannah damage dealer. That way, again, I can just control the team over and over. So what I did was head into manage and I took a look at the runes and I picked speed as well as gemmed out HP. Same thing with HP here where I took defense. And then also I took HP in slot 6 as well as giving my highest speed in this unit with some resistance and crit damage and rate as well. For something like this, for slot 1, you could see that there is no HP on this rune, so maybe it would be a good idea for me to gem out, so that way he's just that much more tankier, and maybe I can push him into the plus 25k range. I probably could afford to change slots 4 and 3 to maybe energy to just give him that much more health, or I could just take the highest health runes and put him on it as well, because again, all of those skills scale off HP. So we're going to take both units into Special League and see if we can do something with it. Special League has not been going well, and honestly, RTA hasn't been going well either, so I can't wait for the normal ranked battle to start. Not really sure where this guy's head is, so I'm just going to go with my classic picks with Escher and Laura. I assume he's going to try and protect himself, so if we can just keep the CC rocking, then I think we'll be okay. This is an interesting comp. I'm not 100% sure what he's going for, because looks like 3 units could do the most damage, and the unit I'm honestly most worried about is Ciara. In which case, maybe it makes sense to bring another speed lead, that way I can definitely contest it. Or I just ban out the speed lead. And now we're definitely going to go first. Where we might run into problems is with the Josephine and Water Angel. Push back attack bar with skill 3. We get the stun. See if we can't get the stun here with the Despair set. Let's go for reset. Able to land the reset on most, which is good. Start to focus on their damage here. We could start to get that down. Get rid of the beast. Should be easy enough to kill now. Maybe a stun. Not going to get it. Okay. I think we'll be able to sort of control this here, although that recovery is very annoying. I don't think it's going to be the end of the world unless Sukuna defense breaks and really fucks us up. That Sukuna is so strong. What the hell was that? Try and boost up. He's probably going to put threat state on, which is not ideal. Jesus. So this is one thing I'm working on. No matter what I choose or where I think I'm going with a comp, I end up getting... Doesn't even matter. Like, I end up killing one unit, and like I said, we run into an issue where now I'm probably going to lose because that unit, you know, there's no way to... Yeah. Maybe if we can get cycle back and go for Sukuna, I think we'll be okay. Yeah, there we go. So it wasn't the prettiest, but we kind of had the same idea. So I think Homeboy is trying to go turn 1. I'm actually unfamiliar with most of these passives here, but just to play it safe, I'm just going to stay with the safe team, try to bring in Jung Nem again, and maybe we'll bring like a Tableau, so that way we can just keep resetting. Okay, full LD team, you love to see that. Let's pop that, and then we'll get rid of something like her, because I know she does a good amount of damage, but I don't know enough about these units to know which one to ban out. Again, let me know what I did wrong in the comments, because I'm at a loss. So we're going to go first. We're going to boost up attack bar. We're going to try and get the strip on... Maybe it makes sense to go for... No, let's just try and go for the strip. I know that Horus is going to jut in, but that's all right. Maybe we'll get the stun here. All right, we're able to get a pretty big stun. We're going to push back attack bar. We're going to go for the strip on the Nyx. And that feels like a pretty strong unit, although it's tankier than that thing. So let's see if we can start to get that out of here. Okay, this thing's going to violent proc, and now it's going to remove all benefits and heal it up, so we're probably going to lose this one. Oh no, maybe not. Let's see. Go for the sleep. Didn't work. Go for the sleep again. Didn't work. I'm going to get the stun off. We love that. It's going to get boosted up. But maybe we could... Okay, so we get the stun on that. I'll take that. I am worried about this thing doing damage, but it looks like it was able to... I landed glancing, all right. We still might be okay, so long as the Laura doesn't get stunned here. And it's just going to fully heal up. You love to see that. Maybe we'll get the stun off. Okay, we're able to get 2. I mean, something about these teams, man. Like, it feels like everything in RTA is just team 2 sustain. That's not fun at all. Yeah, we're gonna lose this one because I don't know what I did wrong in this game. Maybe I lack damage is probably the big thing. I mean, that thing just stunning is brutal. And that thing just does a ton of damage. This thing moves every other turn, which is kind of insane. We still might be able to do this if we can get skill 3 back from Jung Nem, but I doubt it. We're probably going to lose Escher here. Boost up. Yeah, this is insane. This game fucking sucks, man. We're going to call that. One thing I am trying to get better at is understanding how to pivot. I mean, if I try to go for turn 1 team and somebody just goes straight turn 2, I have no idea. I also want to try and figure out how to build Feng Yan. In what world does he shine, you know? So Bastet, to me, signals that he wants to go first, which I'm going to race him for. In which case, he might pivot and go to turn 2. And in that case, I don't know how to counter pivot, if that makes sense. That's something I want to work on. So again, he's going to keep going for turn 2 here. What I can do... Or no, sorry, turn 1. So I think what I can actually do in this case is maybe take a unit like Manado and Diana... to see if we can't recapture the turn 2 spirit. Take something like Heigang, maybe. Or something like Feng Yan. I don't know if this is... I mean, my units are really slow. Even for a turn 2 team, they are really slow. Okay, I'm not concerned about going first here, but I do have a feeling that we're going to lose this one. It's a little frustrating because I feel like all the time and energy I'm putting into this channel to learn, it's just not paying off. Somehow I'm still going first. Wow. Okay. That didn't mean anything. All right. We hate that. Let's see if we can start to get rid of some of these units. Something like... Okay, so I'll take that for right now. That's honestly not that bad. I don't think I'm worried too much about the sanctuary here, but what I am going to do is go back so that we could start to build up turns again, and we'll get rid of that. And hope we can't get the stun here, so we might as well just do a little bit of damage. That doesn't feel great. Start to strip out maybe this Vela Jewel. Going for the Escher, which I can respect. See if we can't get rid of Jung Peng here. Good amount of damage. I'll take that. Cycle back. Stun. Do not get it. All right, we're probably going to lose Escher, but I think that's going to be okay. And we should be GG's here. Nicely done. I'll take it. So another unit like Feng Yang is also good for turn 2. One thing I really need help with is understanding how to pivot, right? When I go to turn 1 and somebody else immediately goes turn 2, how do I counter pivot? So any suggestions on that would be greatly appreciated, but I hope this video gave you some insight to how you should start to think about how to rune your monsters. I know I could use a lot more work in terms of what it entails, so things you agree with, things you don't agree with, let me know in the comments, and I appreciate you watching. Take care.